Hari Om, Namaste to all. Welcome to our Sunday Prakarana Grantha. So, we'll start with our opening prayers and also the invocation verses of Tattvabodha Vivekachudamani. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Dayakaram Dayakaram Dantam Dharma Pravartakam Pranamami Dayanandam Madacharya Varam Param. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Vasudevendra Yogindram Natva Jnanapradam Gurum Mumukshunam Hitarthaya Tattvabodho Bhidiyate Sarva Vedānta Siddhanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Satgurum Pranatosmyaham. So we were seeing our Sukshma Shariras. What is the Sukshma Sharira? We discovered that we are not just this physical body. There is a subtle body that pervades this physical body, and this subtle body has the ability to reflect, to manifest consciousness, like the light bulb. The filament in the light bulb has the capacity to manifest light within the light bulb, bringing the light bulb to life. So in the same way, the subtle body manifests consciousness. And it is the subtle body, the Shastra says, that goes through the experiences of sukha, which is happiness, and dukkha, unhappiness. That is not actually experienced in the physical body. Physical body is just the location. But the unhappiness and happiness that we experience in life is all connected to the subtle body. So that is why in Vedānta Shastra, the subtle body becomes more important than the physical body. Physical body is important to keep up. Physical body also gets affected if subtle body is affected. They are intimately connected because the subtle body pervades, each physical body It pervades a little bit externally to the physical body, and it matches the physical body you are born in. So if, a human being will not get some mosquito subtle body. Bhagwan has matched the physical body and the subtle body together, so you can experience your prarabdha within that particular setup. We saw that the setup in the world, all the situations we face, the people who trigger us, every object also that we have to deal with in the physical world is only to exhaust the prarabdha karma, the karma that I have come with, which is also in subtle form, in the subtle body, in another body, which we call karana shariram, which we're going to see a little later on. There are a few more things few more verses from Vivekachudamani that explains what subtle body means, and that is what I wanted to go through today. So in verse 100, Adi Shankaracharya, what does he say? He says in the Vivekachudamani, Sarva Vyapriti Karanam Lingam Idam Syat Chidatmanaha Pumsaha Vasyadikam Iva Takshnaste Naivatma Bhavat Yasangoyam. So what does it mean, this verse? As the tools of a carpenter are his instruments, so the subtle body is an instrument for all activities of the self, Atma. This Atma is the nature of Syatchidatmanaha. It is the nature of knowledge, which is absolute knowledge. The self, however, even though the subtle body is the instrument for the self, the verse says, this self, Atma, however, is completely untouched, completely uninvolved with the subtle body. Now, how are we going to understand that? It's very interesting. So the carpenter, you can take this example. Every example will be limited because you cannot really explain, two orders of reality. Here, the carpenter uses his tools to do his job in life. He needs the tools to make something out of wood, right? So similarly, the subtle body is given to us to make the physical body act. Without the subtle body, physical body has no action. So the subtle body becomes the tool to make the physical body act. Have you ever examined yourself? Why does the physical body move actually? There is something, some vritti has to arise in your mind. Vritti means thought form, has to arise in your mind to trigger your physical body to move. Physical body cannot move out of its own volition. There must be something there within the physical body that makes within the subtle body that makes the physical body act. So the subtle body is like a tool, this verse says, to make the physical body act in life. And another thing we learn in life as we go through life is that any action we do implies some change. Some change, any action you do, if you see, there is some change that you bring about through action. So for any changes to come about in your life, you require the subtle body, sukshma shariram. Atma, the self that lights up the subtle body, itself does not change. It is, we know, sakshi. It is witnessing everything. It doesn't change at all. So Atma does not undergo any change. It is the subtle body that transforms, the subtle body that changes. And how do I know that it is the subtle body that changes? I can see. As the physical body ages, subtle body also is aging, right? Subtle body ages. How do I know subtle body is aging? Because my eyesight is diminishing. My eyes can't see. Before I used to have 20/20 vision. But now I'm getting, I know my right eye can't see properly. It's all cloudy. Maybe cataract. Maybe there's a cataract there. Who knows? Something is diminishing in the eyes. Now, the power, the eyeballs are still there, but where is the power? How do you recognize? You recognize your power of sight is diminishing. So you can see the subtle body changing actually. You notice your subtle body also changing. You are aware of the changes and the powers behind the physical body. You can recognize your hearing is going. See, the doctor, when you go to the I'm not sure what speciality is hearing, but if you go to that particular specialist, then what do you if your hearing is going, he cannot tell you. You have to say, I don't hear well in this right ear, because you recognize, that is, you light up the power of hearing. You know when the power of hearing is also going. So recognize it. You recognize the changes happening in your thinking. Thinking also, we know, is within the subtle body. The power of the senses is in the subtle body. The power of the organs of actions, activities is invested in the subtle body. And also the power of thought. You know changes to your thinking. See, you wake up in the morning, sometimes we say, I got out of the wrong side of bed. When you say, I got out of the wrong side of bed, what do you mean? It means that you got up in a bad mood. It wasn't a very nice, you're not in a nice state. How can you say that without recognizing it? You recognize that your mind is in a negative state, and you are able to express that to others. You cannot be the mind if you recognize the mind. You cannot be your thoughts. We have seen this if you recognize the thoughts. So you know when what you're thinking as well. And why is this important? Because very karma yoga, we bring in karma yoga from Bhagavad Gita, is to make your thinking sattvic, is to make your thinking positive. A karma yogi lifestyle is recommended in Bhagavad Gita to transform your thoughts, actually. The very attitude you have to your life will transform your thinking. So you become much calmer, much more content with life. You always see, a karma yogi, the difference with karma yogi and a normal person who just does karma for results. The karma yogi will say what? Karma yogi is, a, can you just put it down, Sakshi? Yeah. A karma yogi, a karma yogi recognizes what is in the mind, the changes in the mind, the sattva of the mind, recognizes the sattvic thoughts of the mind. So karma yogi can transform through the activities that they do in their day-to-day life, through offering the actions to Ishvara, receiving the results of prasadam, that the thinking transforms, and you convert the depressing, the despondent thinking, the sadness, the dejection, the disappointment, you convert all that to what? Contentment. So you move as a karma yogi from seeing the glass as half empty to seeing the glass as half full. It is also always a change in attitude. And you are able to change the attitude because you can work on your sukshma shariram. Okay, so as you work on your, you go for the gym to work on your stula shariram. You build up the muscles in your stula. You build up the power in your stula shariram through jogging and everything. You need to build up the sukshma shariram also. The changes in the sukshma shariram are also free will based. So that is why we say adhikaritvam becomes important. Through alert living, through practice of this shama, dhamma, all of these, we saw all of these qualifications which are needed for self-knowledge. You yourself can transform your mind. See, the beauty of Bhagavad Gita, the 3rd chapter, we saw that Arjuna raises the question, everything is driven by prakriti, everything is driven by nature. What is the use of control? He tells Krishna, if you remember, whoever is studying the Gita, very beautiful question he asks. What is the use for control? If everything is driven by nature? Bhagavan says no. Everything is, you are born with a certain nature, your mind goes in a certain direction. And of course, if you don't work on it, the mind will go back to your nature. So it is like anything in physics, right? When everything goes back to its own nature if it's left alone, right? So it's same way, mind, if you don't do anything with it, it will go back to the nature it was born with. That's why it's important as a spiritual aspirant to work on the mind, not spend all of the life working on the mind, but imbibe these practices, imbibe these qualifications, and alert living is the key. So I am the one who lights up the changes in the mind. I can recognize when my mind is becoming more and more sattva, when I'm becoming more and more content with life, when I find myself cheerful despite unpleasant situations, then I know I'm becoming more sattva guna predominant. This is the sign of purity of mind is equal to contentment and peace of mind. So when my mind becomes more peaceful, more pure, my, sattva guna is increasing, and I need that sattva guna predominant mind for the pursuit of Vedānta. Shravanam, mananam, nididhyasanam. So the next verse here, again, Adi Shankaracharya and Vivekachudamani, he elaborates on this thinking aspect of, also the antahkarana, the inner instrument. So antahkarana and sukshma shariram, sometimes they're equated the same thing. The inner instrument, we saw that sukshma shariram is also an instrument like the carpenter uses. So he says here, antahkaranameteshu 103 cakṣuradishu varshmani ahamityabhimanena tishtatyabhasa tejasa. The inner instrument expresses itself through these sense organs such as the eyes, the ears, through all the sense powers as well. And now he brings in another thing which is connected to Sukshma Sharira, who identifies with the expression through the sense organs. So there is one thought there which objectifies all the thoughts, identifying with the expression of the vrittis, of the thought forms through the sense organs, such as the eye, the ears, through the skin, identifying with them is I. That I thought, the ahankara, he says here, ahamityabhimanena tishtatya abhasa tejasa. This I thought exists in every individual because of the reflection of Atma in it. So I thought is inert. It is jadam. It is nothing without Atma's manifestation. Atma lights up your ahankara thought. It is the ahankara that is lit up first in the morning, right? When you wake up in the morning, it is not your alarm clock that wakes you up. It is your prarabdha karma. First, we have to understand. Alarm clock has nothing to do with it. You wake up. If your prarabdha is finished, you will not wake up. The actual getting up in the morning is because your prarabdha is waiting to get exhausted for that day. Already Bhagavan has the situations waiting for you to exhaust that day. He knows what is going to come. You don't know what is going to come. But if you trust in the Lord, whatever is unfolding is your account for that day ready to exhaust. Whether it's punya, punya means, oh, nice restaurant, you go out, have some good food. Now it's New Year's Eve, enjoy, party. That punya account goes down. Papa means what? Something, you ate. It did not help your stomach very well. And you're in the toilet all night and you're not experiencing very nice things, which is papa account also going down there. So this whole day is like this. 1 minute punya, 1 minute papa. We know that. But who experiences the papa and punya? Here he says, the I thought is a reflection in your antahkarana. It is a reflection in your mind. So in the body, identifying with the sense organs and mind, that I am is there. This I am is called ahankara, ahankarta. Ahankarta means I am the doer. So the ahankara, the ego, we call it ego in English, but it is not the correct, sometimes ego is taken to be a negative thing in English. Don't have ego, get rid of your ego. Here, ego in ahankara is not anything negative. It is not anything positive. It is just as it is. Shastra here is stating facts. Everybody has ego, ahankara. Okay, ahankara is not an issue because to interact with the external world, to interact with others, you need ahankara. If you don't have I thought, then you'll be good as a corpse. Corpse doesn't have I thought, right? So you need ahankara to interact in this transactional reality. There is nothing wrong with ahankara. But the only issue is, and that is where ignorance comes into the picture, you take yourself to be ahankarta, I am the doer. When you take yourself to be the doer, the next consequence of doership is what? Enjoyership, experiencership, which is aham bhokta. These two thoughts are what keep us bound life after life to the physical bodies that we take like costumes. Aham karta, aham bhokta. I am the doer, I am the experiencer. I do actions in life. I want to experience certain results, right? I do action to experience result. So this I am is the thought which interacts with every other thought. How beautiful. See, thoughts in the mind, thoughts are just there in the mind. One definition of mind in the Shastra is vritti atmakam manaha. The mind is just a bundle of thoughts. There is no specific entity like mind. It is just a bundle of thoughts. But who claims the thought? Who claims a thought? It is I, the ahankara, that claims the thought. So I go after certain thoughts. I don't even have the space to see that I am claiming the thought. I don't even have the space to distinguish the I is separate from other thoughts. And this is where mindfulness practices come into the picture. Mindfulness, meditation, all of this gives you the capacity to differentiate that I from other thoughts. In Drishya Vivekaha, some of you have seen that very beautiful text. If you have not seen that text, Vidyaranya, there, the Acharya, the teacher, he isolates the ahankara as a thought form. He divides the mind into two thoughts: aham, I, idam, this. Aham, everything, every other thought form is this. There is only one ahankara that claims all the idam vrittis, all the this vrittis. So you can see that, an example, I see, I don't have any, I see this. So phone is, you see this phone is, right? Phone is. But when knowledge takes place, what do I say? I see the phone. Who sees the phone? Otherwise, phone is. I see the phone. So I am the one who registers the knowledge of the phone, and that gets registered in the buddhi. So here, the ahankara, when you wake up, we're talking about the morning. When I wake up, prarabdha starts beginning when ahankara wakes up. Actually, everything. Sometimes we're very groggy in the morning. We can't, especially winters, in the West. So, you don't feel like getting up. And in that time, in that torpor, you don't even feel there's ahankara there, nothing bothering. Then suddenly the ahamvriti comes. You notice it. It's a good practice to notice. I wakes up. And soon as that I thought wakes up, what happens? Oh, I remember I had to do this yesterday. I didn't do that yesterday. I've got this on my list. I have to do this. The I starts functioning. And the I, what does it do? It lends consciousness, which has borrowed from Atma. Atma lights up that I thought. I lights up the sense organs, and you come to life every morning because ahankara, it lends the consciousness to the mind. Mind lends consciousness to your sensory organs. Senses lend consciousness to the whole body, and then you are a doer and experiencer in life. So soon as that identification happens in the morning, As soon as you identify, all the complexes start coming into the picture. All the identification of the I also joins along with the I thought. What is the identification? All the misidentification, wrong identification. I am, I am only this much. I belong to this lineage. I am so and so. I have I have 2 PhDs. I went to this college. I am intelligent. I am stupid. I am hungry. I am thirsty. All identifications of that I am start happening. I identifies with everything. And what do you become with the identifications? You become a separate individual entity in this world, having to face all other entities. So, as Swami Dayananda beautifully said, when you get up in the morning, I identification happens. You discover yourself to be that limited I. Then, as you exit the house, first thing in the morning, how do you exit? You exit in ninja stance. I'm ready to fight the world. I'm ready to fight everybody. I'm a ninja, you know. This is what happens when I identifies as a limited individual body. But the I, what is the knowledge? I is free. I is free of limitations. The source of that I is Atma. I itself is only a thought. And you do know it's a thought because there is a time in your experience in this world where you exist minus the I. When is that time? In deep sleep. You do not have I thought. In deep sleep, I thought is also dormant. But you continue to exist in deep sleep, minus I thought, minus everything. Which shows what? That you cannot be the I thought. You think about this logically. If you are the I thought will be there all the time, 24/7, all the time with you. But there is a time in our experience where the I thought is also asleep. It is dormant. And despite the I thought being asleep, you still continue to exist. So here in 104, Adi Shankaracharya elaborates more. He says, Ahankarasa vigneyaha kartha bhokta vimanyayam satvadi guna yogena chavastatrayam ashnute. Know that it is the ego, the ahankara, which is identifying with the physical body, with the sukshma shariram, with the body. It is this I that becomes the doer and the experiencer, and it is connected sattvadi guna yogena. It is connected with the 3 gunas like sattva, rajas, and tamas. And this is the I that goes through the 3 states of experience. What are the 3 states of experience? We'll see in later on in the text. Waking state, the I goes through. The dream state, the I goes through. The deep sleep state, the I goes through. So it is this ahankara, the I, that wears different costumes. The one person, in what, how do I know I wear different costumes? You see, we don't even take time out to examine our own life. Am I the same with my wife as I am with my child? Am I the same with my employer as I'm with my neighbor? I wear so many different costumes throughout the day that I relates to different people on different levels throughout the day. With one person, I behave in a certain way. Suddenly, with another person, I behave in another way. Why is that? See, it's very interesting to see. I is never the same throughout the day. One person, I'm behaving in a certain way. Other person, I behave in another way because that I keeps changing costumes. The I changes, as we say, changes the hats. And here, what determines the moods of the I? I is also sometimes moody. Again, I always remember Swami Dayananda, he used to say, people used to, mind is moody, mind is moody. In fact, he used to say, mood is mind. Mind is meant to be moody. The mood is mind. The whole setup here, mind is moody, mood is mind, which means what? It means that there are changes to this I. This I goes through, 1 minute it feels very elated. It identifies with sukhavritti, with the happiness thought. Happiness is just a thought that goes in the mind. What does the I do? It identifies with the thought, and what does the I say? I am happy. This all happening in Sukshma Sharira, actually. So the I says, I am happy. Then another day, I wakes up, or another moment in the day, there's sadness. Something triggers. I watch some news, bad news. News is enough to trigger sadness these days. Any news channel you switch on will definitely trigger dukkha vritti. Somehow we seem to like dukkha vritti. So the unhappiness vritti, sadness vritti comes into the mind. What does the I do? It grabs onto that sadness vritti and says what? I am sad. I don't like to see what is happening. So there is a grabbing on of the I to the vrittis. This is due to your gunas changing as well in the mind. So I's moods change because of the gunas. Now we know guna is part of universe, okay? Guna is Ishvara's creation. Guna means qualities in this universe, qualities in the world. When we say sattva guna, it means the quality of peacefulness, the quality of joy, the quality of contentment. All of this is equated with sattva guna. Rajas, Rajas is ambition, activity, a lot of movement. This is Rajas. Sometimes you see that war and everything is Rajas, Rajoguna, right? Rajas and Tamas. We can say that. Tamas as well. Tamas is, killing, murder. All of this is Tamoguna. Whole world is going through all these gunas. So when you go to a retreat or something like that, there will be mainly sattva guna, because generally you don't have, killings and murders and retreats. Generally, we don't, these days we don't know, but, we have sattva guna predominant there. Any kind of ashram place, generally sattva guna predominant. So the I, what does it do? It identifies with the gunas. The gunas are changing externally as well as internally. So you can imagine how, what factors are pressing that I for certain things. So when external affects internal, then the I goes through the reaction to the external. So what reacts to the external? It is the I thought that reacts. So Bhagavan is in charge of the external. I am not in charge because it is set up. We saw last week. This whole Jagat is set up for us. Whole Jagat is set up for whole of humanity. And there is a certain order here. Even though we cannot see the order, we don't understand the order, there is an intelligence here. So it is I identifies, when it identifies with the sattva guna vritti, I say I am peaceful, I am calm, I am content, but it doesn't last, because next moment what happens? Rajoguna vritti, the rajas comes up, the rajas thought, I am restless. I'm always, I feel like moving around. I'm disturbed. I need to do something. I can't sit with myself. Rajas. Next moment, what? Oh, I'm so tired, especially after a lot of rajas. You're going out, a lot of activity. Then what happens? I becomes very tired. Tamoguna takes over the I, and laziness takes over, or even sleep, procrastination. All of this is tamoguna, but tamas is also needed for rest, right? So tamas is also important. So what he's saying in this verse is that who is that goes through all the three states of experience? He says it is ahankara. The body just follows, but actually it is the sukshma shariram, the ahankara, I, in the sukshma shariram that goes through all the states of experience. The I goes to the dream state. So first of all, I goes to sleep state. I goes to the dream state. Then in the dream also you experience in a different I experiences. You can be in a different body in the dream, right? whole of dream could be something different. You have different experiences in the dream. And then the I is what goes into karana shariram. It goes into deep sleep state. So in this way, he says, it is not the physical body that experiences the state. It is actually the I with the physical body going through all three states of experience. Now, in the next verse, he says, Vishayan Vishayanamanukūlye Sukhi Dukhi Viparyaye Sukham Dukkham Cha Taddharmaha Sadanandasya Natmanaha. So he explains here why, again, what I have just said, when the sense objects are favorable, when the situation is favorable, then one is happy. He says, when they are unfavorable, unpleasant, unfavorable and favorable, we have to understand how. We have seen now, what do I say is favorable? When the situation outside matches my like. When I like something, it matches, then I call it favorable, right? So what may be favorable for me may be unfavorable for somebody else. It has to match my like for it to be favorable. When it doesn't match my like, what do I say? Unpleasant. It is not, it's unfavorable. I don't like it. So when it is unfavorable, the situation, then I is miserable. I'm not saying I am miserable. You mark this. It is not wrong English. The I thought is miserable. I'm objectifying the I thought. I is happy when the situations are favorable to the I, the likes of the I. Likes and dislikes belong to whom? Likes and dislikes belong to that I thought only, not to Atma. Atma does not have likes and dislikes. So when the likes match outside, I say favorable and I'm happy. And when the likes don't match the I say I'm unhappy, I'm sad. So here Adi Shankaracharya beautifully says, he says, happiness and sorrow are therefore characteristics of the ego. They don't belong to the Atma, the self, which is always happy. It is Sadanandasya Natmanaha. It is always in bliss. It is always limitless happiness. Only, so he says, Vishayanam Anukulye, if something is conducive to your liking, to the bhokta, because we've seen that I thought is the experiencer, right? When the bhokta, it feels happy, the sukha experience is there. When the bhokta is unhappy, viparyaye dukhi, it is non-conducive to that bhokta, then what? I reject the situation. I reject that person because they make me unhappy. They invoke the displease me. I don't like the displease me. I want to be happy all the time. So I reject the displease me and I become unhappy. But he says here, this type of happiness and unhappiness is ahankara dharma, not atmas. So here he differentiates. This type of sukha dukkha, which is changing, belongs to the I thought. You are not the I thought. You are much more than that I thought. So very beautifully, Atma here unfolds. This Atma, this self consciousness is untouched by sukha. It is untouched by dukkha because it lights up both happiness and sorrow. So happiness and sorrow are just the superficial personality of the person. Atma, the real source of the person, lights up the states of the mind, the states of ahankara. So what is from all of this, what do we see? We see that the most important aspect of the individual is the sukshma shariram. You can see how important Vedanta makes the sukshma shariram to be, because is liberation, I've asked this before, liberation, is it for the physical body? If liberation is for the physical body will survive after death. Liberation is not for physical body. Liberation is for what? Liberation is for sukshma sharira. It is the sukshma sharira that I alone that becomes liberated. In fact, it is not I that becomes liberated. What becomes liberated? The Atma becomes free of the I. When Atma becomes free of I thought, that is moksha. Usually we see it that I become free. I become free of sorrow. But actually seeing it is Atma that becomes free of the I thought, because it recognizes, you recognize that without I thought, I'm still happiness. Without I thought, I still exist. I don't need the I to define me. So, very beautifully, Adi Shankaracharya, he brings this Sukshma Sharira now. He goes through, we'll see all the components of the Sukshma Sharira, and he begins with now the jñānendriyas. Jñānendriyas. So very simple. We'll just do it very briefly. In the in the 92nd verse in the Vivekachudamani, we'll have to go back. He says, Buddhindriyāṇi śravanam. Buddhindriyāṇi śravanam tvagakshi ghrāṇam ca jiḥvā viṣayavabodhanāt vakpānipada gudamapyupastaha karmendriyāni pravanena karmasu. So very simple verse he comes to now. Excuse me. He says, the ears, the skin, the eyes, tongue are all organs of knowledge because they help us gain the knowledge of external objects. So all of this is in the Sukshma Sharira. He's still discussing and he's elaborating on that. And then he says in the second part of the verse, the organ of speech, hands, legs, the organs of evacuation, the organs of procreation are the organs of action due to their tendency to work in the world. So one is the organs of knowledge to gain knowledge of external objects of the world. The second is organs of action because they work in the world. And the same idea is brought up in Tattvabodha. We have seen this. Śrotraṁ, tvak, cakṣuḥ, rasanā, ghrāṇam pañca jñānendriyāṇi. And in Tattvabodha, it is elaborated more. Śrotrasya viṣayaḥ śabdagrahaṇam, tvaco viṣayaḥ sparśagrahaṇam, cakṣuṣo viṣayaḥ rūpagrahaṇam, rasanāyā viṣayaḥ rasagrahaṇam, ghrāṇasya viṣayaḥ gandhagrahaṇam. What does that mean? Śrotraṁ first. Śrotraṁ means the power behind the ears. It is not the physical ears. It is the power behind the ears. The subtle ear. We can call it the subtle ear, and not part of the physical body. So the object, he said, śrotrasya, the object of hearing, the perception for hearing is sound. Hearing brings in sound. This is very obvious, right? But it's just pointing out. So then tvacaḥ, tvak. What is the object of the sense of touch? It is sparśagrahaṇam. Sorry, object of the skin, tvacaḥ, is the sense of touch. Tvacaḥ, cakṣuḥ. The object for this object of eyes is a perception of form and color. Rupagrahaṇam. Eyes pick up form and color. And rasanāyā, which means the tongue. What is the object for the tongue? The sense of taste. Taste of various experiences. You know, you have sour taste, you have sweet taste, you have hot taste, you have bitter taste. Rasagrahaṇam. This is the object for the tongue. And ghrāṇasya, the smell. What is the object of smell? Gandhagrahaṇam. Now, why is this very important, or why is it being brought in? It sounds very obvious. But what he's saying is that each organ, how beautifully you can see the body is built. Each organ has its own sense object it goes towards. Each object, each organ. So ears cannot go to smell. You cannot smell any objects. Can you imagine your nose listening to sounds? No. How beautifully Bhagavan has made this body. Each sense, our organ, sense power goes towards its own sense object. So this has its own sphere of operation, and there is no, in many many of the senses, you have no choice. If somebody taps your hand, touch happens. You can't do anything about it. If somebody is making noise, unless you plug your ears, you can't help it. The ears do pick up sound, right? So why is he saying all of this? Because he here in this Vivekachudamani, as well as Tattvabodha, the whole idea is to unfold the connection of the individual to the total. The individual also has these powers, and these powers are manifest as certain devatas or functionaries. We have seen this. There are the same functionaries, the devatas in the universe, in the world, are the functionaries that reside in my own subtle body. So the subtle body also has divinity. See, in the Lagunyasa or Nyasa, we have in the Rudram, we chant. What are we invoking? We are invoking the power in the subtle body. When you say Pado Vishnuhu, if you see Lagunyasa, there's Pado Vishnu Tishtati. How does that go? That section. Now I can't remember, but yeah. So anyway, in the Lagunyasa, you go there, you see that Lagunyasa, and all of the body parts are awakened, and each of the body part will have a certain devata, will have a presiding deity. Now that deity represents not the physical body part, that deity represents the subtle power behind the body part. So those divinities reside where? They reside in the subtle body. So here it's very beautiful. This individual subtle body is connected to the subtle body of the universe as well. There is a samashti sukshma, there is a vyashti sukshma. So microcosm and macrocosm exist together. So it is just like, you are, this pancha mahabhutas are these five elements. The five elements are very much related to your five organs of knowledge. And how are they related? They're related through the devatas, through the powers in nature, they are related. Now, there's a very beautiful section that, the next verses, I think we don't have time today to go through because I don't want to break this particular section. I want to carry on. So I will stop the class for today and we will discuss these devatas of the organs and how they are connected, the external connected to the individual all the time. I'm always linked to Ishvara. The total and the individual are linked on all levels at all times. There is not a time where I am disconnected from that order that is Ishvara. This is the beauty of Vedanta actually. You find in all the texts, there is this connection that is constantly made between the individual and the total, individual and total. And why does Vedanta do that? Because ultimately the discovery is there is no difference between individual and total. The total is the individual on the intrinsic, on the essential level, there is oneness. So that is why even physically, the total and the individual are constantly connected. We will see this and this connection more next time we meet. Next week, I'll be having the retreat, so I won't be able to take the class. So I will do the following week, I will resume the class and we will keep it up regularly and you will get more clarity through this text. Karana Shariram also will be discussed, which is very interesting also to understand. And none of this is scientifically verifiable. Let us be clear. We cannot, get scientists to come and examine this. But if you are a thinker, if you are a logical thinker, then you can see what the rishis were saying. This is rishi science. there is some truth to this Rishi science. It is logical. It makes a lot of sense. And it helps us to assimilate a lot of the experiences that we go through in life as well. So somebody had a question I can ask from last time. Maybe you can just let me know. I will just ask you to unmute and then you can just ask me. Yes, 1 minute. Yeah. Yeah. Please, you can unmute and ask. Yeah.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
I had a question about Sushma. You mentioned that it is Anadi, and could you please clarify that Anadi component some more? I mean, why is it Anadi? And I mean, in my understanding, it has some point, it has some beginning, right? Because it is there, that's why we are here. So how can Sushma be Anadi? It's more like Brahman is more likely to be Anadi, and how Sushma can be Anadi.
Yeah. So this Anaditvam is going to come actually. It's not come today, but somebody else had that same doubt. So I think when we see the Anaditvam, we have to wait for Karana Shariram. Then it will make sense because Karana and Sukshma come together. The Anadi only comes, that beginningless, because Sukshma is when the mind is born. So mind cannot see a time before it existed. You need a mind to see that, right? So that is on one level we see Anadi because mind itself comes into existence with Sukshma. So that's why we say Anadi. The mind cannot see before itself because it is, that's why we call it Anadi. When the mind is born, we don't know before itself. But the whole reason Anaditvam comes into the picture is because ultimately Sukshma is Mithya. It is dependently real. It is not, it is a model. All of this, eventually, Shastra itself, after giving all of this, ultimately it negates even Sukshma, that is knowledge. Sukshma is there as long as you identify with the Karta and Bhokta. So as long as you identify with the I thought, Sukshma remains. Once you recognize you are not that I, then where is Sukshma? Sukshma resolves. That is called jñānam actually. So I will elaborate more on this Anaditvam because it comes in the Karana Shariram, and Karana is the cause for the Sukshma. Karana means causal body. The causal body is the cause for the subtle body, and that is considered Anadi as well. That is considered beginningless, but both Karana Sukshma have an end. So this is very interesting. Beginningless, but they have an end because it is Mithya. That is going to be unfolded in future class. Okay, I'll leave it for there now. You have to wait in suspense. Yeah. So we'll finish for, if any questions, next time we meet, definitely will answer. I'm very happy to receive questions. I've got quite a few, which I'm waiting for until we finish Karana. And if still the doubts are there, then we will clarify. But very nice to see all of this is making you all think, you know. That is what we want to create. You have to think about your experiences in life and what is actually happening to us, because we're so involved in the gross world, right? In the grossness of the world, we don't have time to see all of this. And at least, you know, in the Shastra Vedanta class, we can start seeing ourselves differently to some extent, which is good. So wish you all a very wonderful, jnanam-filled 2024 ahead. May Bhagavan bless you with all your wishes. May all the desires, I won't say grow, may they all be resolved. That is a spiritual teacher's wish. May all your desires get resolved in the one all-consuming desire for moksha. And we will meet next year. So see you all next year. Hari Om. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah. Sarve santu niramayah. Sarve bhadrani pashyantu. Ma kaschit दुःखभाग् भवेत् असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय mrityorma amritam gamaya. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Today in Mandukya class here, we had, which is a very advanced text, but Adi Shankaracharya was saying in the Bhashyam, in his commentary, I am, he listed all of the different bhavas that we can have, so many of them. I am Sukhi, Dukhi, all of this. I am sad, I'm happy, I'm old, I'm diseased, all of this. And that I am, you see, is common in all of that. The bhavas keep changing. The happiness, Sukhi changes to Dukhi. All of those bhavas, those additions keep changing in life. One thing that remains is that I am. So he recommended a practice. Whenever you identify with any of these thoughts, I am sad, I am happy, even the positive thoughts, I am sad, I am happy, I am dejected, I am elated, any of these thoughts, he said, practice seeing that I am not neti neti. It's a practice. I am not, because Atma is untouched by the thought. That is how I remove the identification with the thought. No, I am free from sadness. I am free from I'm free from happiness even. I'm free from happiness because I exist. When everything else is changing, I am unchanging truth. So he recommended that practice, something very nice to do. You can, in your day-to-day life, if you have time and the space, just try it, because that will slowly, remove the wrong identification with the mind. That is what, Vedanta is about. Hari Om, Namaste. Hari Om.